Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Jake here at Nerd Level Rising, and I have a couple announcements to start us off. We have the giveaway for Mercy Tears of the Fallen, the physical ARC edition, signed by the author himself, Chance Dillon. This thing is all over BookTube. Everybody's talking about this. I'm very excited to give away a copy of this. And then I also have a big life update that is going to mean a couple little things for the channel temporarily, right? Just for a couple weeks. But I'll circle back to that. Let's do the giveaway thing first. So I did a huge random comment selector thing across all of my comments from my YouTube video, from the giveaway video, and also the post on my Instagram page. It had everything pooled together. We did a big randomized selection thing, right? Whatever we want to call that. And we have selected a winner, and it was from the YouTube video. The name, I want to read this off directly so I don't get this wrong, Alec Martin 6075. That is the YouTube comment username who has won this. Well, actually, not this one. This is my copy because this is personalized to myself. But I have a second copy that I will give away to you. So hit me up. Either give me an email that you can find that on my in my channel, or send me a DM on Instagram. It's just Nerd Level Rising on Instagram. One of the two. Hit me up. Get me your address. We'll get this over to you. And I'm very excited to have this in your hands, and I hope you absolutely love it. Okay, so that's awesome. Giveaway announced. Number 2, life update. So I have a lot of travel coming up, and I'm actually going to be gone for probably like 3 weeks or something. Big long trip, a little stressful. Been pulling my hair out trying to plan this, but hey, is what it is. Such is life. And, you know, some of it is, you know, well, we don't need to get into that. It's complicated. It is what it is. But suffice it to say, we're going to be on the road for a little bit. So what that means, I'm probably not leaving for another week and a half-ish, something like that. So I'll have some time. The channel will be normal here for a second. Just want to give everybody a heads up that during this time in the middle here, before I leave, I'm going to try to pre-record some stuff. I'm going to try to have some things in the bank so that we can get content out as per usual, but it's possible that life might happen. I might not get enough stuff pre-recorded like that to where I'm going to try to still post some stuff from the road, like weekly update stuff and things like that. Production quality will not be as nice, frankly, but I'm going to do my absolute best. And then there might be a little bit less content in general for a few weeks there while I'm gone, if I'm just not able to make it work, if there's just too much going on. But I'm going to do my absolute best to keep things as seamless as possible, outside of not having my bookshelves behind me that I know a lot of people like, but and I like it too. But what are you going to do? That's life. That's being an adult. We're going to make it work. So with that said, let's get into the update here. This was a stressful week trying to start planning all this travel that kind of came out of nowhere. This really was sort of dropped on my girlfriend and I at the last second. So we're trying to frantically sort all this out, which means I did not have as much free time this past week. I still got a good amount of reading done throughout the, in the mornings and stuff. I just didn't do hardly anything right before bed because we tended to be up late trying to plan things, which meant when my head hit the pillow, I fell asleep. So not much progress on Defiant by Sanderson, but is what it is. It's okay. That's kind of the lower priority of all the things I'm reading right now at the moment. What was a very high priority was to finish Mercy Tears of the Fallen, and I have, in fact, done exactly that. This book is all over BookTube, like I said. Everyone's talking about. Let me stand it up so y'all can see this awesome cover, okay? How cool is that book cover, by the way? So what can I say about this? But it hasn't already been said. People have been talking a lot about the complexity, about the ambition that Chance has shown here with the debut story. He's really coming out swinging for the fences. So I came in to reading this with the expectation that it was going to be one of those things, similar to some of his big influences, right? Like his biggest influence, I believe he said, was Elden Ring, that I've only played a little bit of, but I know enough about it to know that it's one of those things you're just dropped in, you don't know what's going on, and you just make your way through this world, and things kind of slowly click into place as you go. And so I was prepared for that. Malazan does that. Wars of Light and Shadow does that. Wheel of Time does that. The Cosmere does that, right? Like tons of these huge epic stories that I really like they all do this, right? This is pretty normal for epic fantasy to not understand everything as you go and to not have your hand held. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm cool with that. And so I'm going through the story. And as the deeper you get in, the more those things start to click into place. You start to realize what's going on. You start to piece together, some of the different nations, some of the different factions, some of the different, how do I word this? It's not power scaling per se, but it's like maybe the ranking of some of these warriors and things like that. You start to piece together how the magic works. You start to piece together, somewhat, what people want. Although I will say, I think if I had to critique anything about this story, I do want to be very honest here with this, right? And I said this to Chance privately as well. I think for me personally, just my personal psychology, my taste, I think there was a little too much of the unknowns just for me, to the point where I still had an awesome time with this. Don't get me wrong. I still had an awesome time, but it was just a tick too high on some of those unknowns, some of those just figure it out as you go thing that I wasn't able to really get my hooks into the characters as much as I wanted to personally, that I didn't feel quite as connected to them, with the exception of one that I don't want to name because I don't want to sway people, but with the exception of one character, I wasn't super, super connected to them emotionally, which felt like some of the big reveals, some of the big stakes, some of the big like parts of danger for them didn't hit as hard for me. Now, I think that seems to be mostly a me thing because I know a lot of people haven't voiced that concern, but that was my experience at least, right? This was still awesome. The action is off the charts, right? It's fast paced. It's a relatively large book, but you can get through it pretty fast. It's pretty fast paced, big action scenes that are they're pretty easy to follow. There is these big epic moments. There's some big reveals and things at the end. The ending was awesome. There is so much depth to the world. Like this is one of those worlds that feels very lived in. There's a lot of history here, right? So I'm really excited to learn more and more about that. I loved everything about the way that how do I even say this without spoiling anything? I loved how the history of the world, the construction, how the nations are situated, everything like that is tied together. That's my favorite kind of world building, when everything is tied together and it all matters for the plot, for the characters, for everything, right? It's not just there because it's cool. It is cool, but it also matters for the actual story that's taking place and what the characters are doing. I love that, right? So a huge fan of that. I think the prose was super solid. So 99% of my experience with this book was really, really positive. It's just that little bit of I wish I connected to the characters a little bit more, just for me personally. But again, that could very well just be purely a me thing. And I think Chance is this is a damn good debut, right? It really, really is. And I can't wait to see what he does in the next book, which he just revealed the title of recently over on his Instagram. If you are not following him, make sure you go do that. He may have said it on his channel at this point now also, so make sure you're following him if you are not already, or subscribed to him, I should say. But yeah, man, it's like, is every writer's craft tool finally honed like an absolute master? No, of course not, right? Whose are, right? Nobody. There's very few masters in the world. We can't compare it to a Steven Erikson or something yet, right? That wouldn't be fair by a long shot. But by saying that, I don't want this to come off as like, oh, the prose is bad, or nothing in here is bad. Nothing at all, right? It's just, I think some people, they hear the Malazan comparison, right? And I think it's a disservice to come in and expect the prose to be on a Steven Erikson level. I think the prose is very good, but it's, there's only one Steven Erikson, right? So let's be reasonable about that, I suppose. But anyway, I hope that this isn't even really a review, but just me sharing my thoughts here. I hope that this is coming off correctly, that I do want to be honest. I want to be objective and transparent. Chance is a friend, which makes it, I want to just focus on the positive things. But I know, like, for me, I want my friends to be honest with me, right? Give me, kind, constructive criticism, and, just be honest. And also, as somebody talking about books on here, I think it's important to be honest. And so I want to do that and mention the things that didn't work super well for me personally, which, as I said, is not much, right? One or maybe two things. But also be very honest that everything else in here is awesome, right? Like, this is a really, really great book. I think tons of people are going to love this. I think there's going to be some people that don't jive super well with the complexity, just like not everybody loves Malazan, right? It's one of those things. But I think tons of people are going to love this. I think Chance has a very exciting career ahead of him. I can't wait to see what book 2 has in store, the reveals, the everything. It's going to be awesome, dude. So get in on the ground floor, right? Make sure that you get in on this. This is going to be a great story to follow along. Great author to follow along with his journey. The pre-orders are up on Amazon for the digital version. I know Chance is working on getting physical editions up for pre-order here sometime within June, I believe is his goal. He's mentioned that. And trying to get those also to work overseas, right? Not just in the US. And then he's got some other really exciting stuff in store that I don't want to share before he does, right? He's giving me a quick little glimpse, which is super exciting. But he's got so much amazing stuff coming for my buddy, Chance Dillon. So excited for him. Could not be more stoked for him and what he's done with this. It's awesome, man. So go read this. Pre-order it. Drive up those Amazon numbers. Drive up those Goodreads reviews. Let's get this thing going for him. Okay. There's that. There's Mercy. I have been working on book 2 of the book, The New Sun, Claw of the Conciliator. This is one, we have our big buddy read group, right? I'm not even going to try to name everybody because I'll leave somebody out, but a big buddy read group. You can see who that group was over on John's channel on Talking Story. We had our discussion on Shadow of the Torturer already, so you can go check that out. For book 2 here, not only are we having that big group discussion after we all finish this, but myself and Joanna from Joanna Reads, if you're somehow not subscribed to her, make sure you subscribe to her. She's amazing. We are doing like a very close buddy read, right? Really slow pace as well. So we're literally going one chapter a day, and that's it. These chapters are 6-7 pages long a lot of the time. So far, they've all been right around that length. And so we're each reading just that one chapter, and then we are exchanging our thoughts about it. And that has just been unbelievably helpful. I can't describe to you how much I'm getting out of this journey with all these discussions that I'm having, right? This is amazing, dude. If you want to read Book of the New Sun, I understand it's intimidating. I get it, okay? This sat on my shelf for like 2 years. I get it. I've said it a million times, I'm obsessed with this series now, right? But if you jump into this, I cannot recommend strongly enough having some friends to talk about it with. Whether they're seasoned veterans, they've already read it before, or they're brand new just like you, it's super helpful regardless. So like book 1, I felt like I caught a lot of stuff. We had our big group discussion and found out I missed so much more than I saw. So I reread it, and I think rereading it actually helped quite a bit. But that group discussion helped more because I learned about what sort of things to look for. And I got to hear people like Christopher Rocchio, people like Sam from iSamwise, Philip Chase, that he's read the series once already, that these people who have experienced the story at least once, if not multiple times, were able to not, tell us anything directly, but just like, yeah, things like this are what Wolf likes to explore in the series, or just different ways to kind of frame how you're thinking about things. So that was super helpful. And then I've been talking to Sam about this quite a bit too, and he's been helping to kind of, I'll bring up theories to him, and he's like, oh, that's interesting. That might be something to keep kind of thinking about, or very loosely guiding some of my experience, which is perfect, I think. He's not spoiled anything, but he's kind of helped to keep me on the rails in some instances. I've actually even noticed a couple things that he missed, which is pretty cool. Makes me feel very smart. And then with Joanna doing this really slow buddy read, like she's picked out so many things that I missed in these. I think, what chapter are we on now? Like 7 or something, 7 or 8. That as we go back and forth, it's like I'll pick up on a couple little things that she missed. She'll pick up on a bunch of stuff that I missed, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad I'm doing this with you. Like this is just it's amazing. So this has been such a great experience. I hear this is the book where the weirdness really gets ramped up to 11. We're not quite there yet. It's weird, but it's like book 1 weird. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it kind of takes off. But I can't say enough great things about these books. It's awesome. It's awesome. So Claw of the Conciliator, this is going to be a slow burn. The rest, it's going to take all month to get through this, right? But that's awesome. I love it. Then I read one of the short stories in the Wars of Light and Shadow by Janny Wirtz. This one is called The Decoy. And if you are a fan of the series, I've only read the one so far, but wow, I can't help but say that these are just fantastic to read. I mean, it's a little bite-sized piece of that of her prose, of her story, which is amazing nonetheless. But they're also short and sweet. I mean, her books are not short. They take a long time to get through. They're worth every single moment of it. But sometimes you just don't have that time to grab that next book yet. So if you're like me and you need a taste of her work, but it's not time to pick up the next book, grab these short stories, man. We can read, it's The Decoy, it's Reigns of Destiny, Child of Prophecy, that we can do all of those after reading Curse of the Mistwraith. And then, what's the other one? Sundering Star, you can read after Warhost of Vastmark. And then there's one called Black Bargain that I believe is after Storm Fortress. I believe that's correct. So as long as you've read book 1, you can read a few of these. And then once you read book 3, you can get to the 4th one. But so I read The Decoy. It was, you know what? I wasn't expecting it to give me like a... I finished the story, and there was a moment in there that I had this like side eye, like, what was that? Right? Like it was one of those things that like Janie does so much in this series where she's playing with your expectations, and she sets you up to... She knows you're going to come to a story like this with certain preconceived notions, and she plays with that. And then she also will purposely set you up to think a certain thing and then flip it on its head. And it's amazing how she's done this so many times. But even within this little short story, there was a moment like that I was just like, wait, what now? Like it's so cool. So I'm so glad I read that. I can't wait to read more of these. I'm going to try to work on more of them here throughout this next week, and see if I can get through the rest of those here very soon. And then we also jumped into this, Lord Fowl's Bane, Book 1 of the Thomas Covenant the Unbeliever series. Will this stand up? It will. Look at that. This is old. This is an old book, right? I love it. But these old mass markets have such a special charm to me. I love it. Stephen Donaldson himself told me personally when I met him at this conference where I bought these books and got them signed, which is such a cool memory. He told me himself how much he dislikes these covers, but I actually really like them. There's like a special, I don't know, they feel really romantic to me in a way. But I'm not super... How deep am I in this? I am 90 pages in. I'm on chapter 8. So this is unbelievably good, by the way. Early thoughts. Wow. I am so happy to be reading this. I'm really excited. By the way, this is a buddy read that I'm doing with Shay and Sam from iSamwise. And Zachary Shea is his channel name. If you're not subscribed to either of them, make sure you do it immediately. They're incredible. Very excited to be reading this, period, let alone be reading it with them, because I think that they will both be very insightful, and I always love what they have to say about books. I can't wait to see what they, even more of what they had to say about this. And we've been talking about it a little bit already, but I'm so excited. But my early thoughts personally, I won't get too crazy deep into this because we're going to have a big group discussion about it at the end of the buddy read, that I so dearly love this style of writing. It's older and it feels older, but it's hard to explain the prose. It's very accessible. It's not using a bunch of archaic words. It's not using really complicated sentence structure. It's not super dense, but it nonetheless evokes similar feelings as Malazan has for me, as Wars of Light and Shadow has, as Book of the New Sun has. It's giving me that similar, like, you're just immediately gripped by every single word. And the character voice, people talk about Joe Abercrombie with character voice. Same thing with this, right? There's a purity to the character voice here, despite being in third person, that is, wow, it's so strong. I'm immediately in that character's head, and I can feel. I was trying to explain this a little bit to the guys, that there is a chapter in the Bone Hunters, Book 6 of Malazan, that has given me to date the most visceral emotional reaction I've ever gotten while reading a book, outside of just basic happiness, cheering, or like I'm sad, right? A character death or a big triumphant moment, right? I've gotten those several times, right? A bunch of times. But a more complicated emotion, that chapter in the Bone Hunters is the thing that's given me the highest peak of that, despite it being a very unpleasant emotion, that being anxiety and claustrophobic. This is hitting that same note of just really making me feel this feeling of it's like things are almost hopeless, right? That's what it feels like. Almost being the key word. I'm really interested to see how this progresses, but it kind of seems like we're in this situation. We start the story with Thomas Covenant, and he's his life situation is a certain way, and he feels a very understandable way about it. It feels very realistic, but it's one of those things that it's so horrible, but there is this glimmer of like, this is awful, but I will maintain my humanity. I will show up and do my best, right? Like, and it's just, I suspect that's going to be a theme throughout the story of constantly fighting to maintain hope despite a lot of bad things being the situation, right? So I don't know. It's felt very authentic and honest in that way. It's really given me that very strong, visceral, emotional reaction of feeling what the character is feeling, and that just like, I don't know how much higher praise I can give for prose other than that. And I love the setup. It's an unexpected setup for the story. I didn't know that it started this way, but I really like it. And I will also say, I have gotten, so if you don't know, in this book there is a part, there is some sexual assault in here that turns a lot of people away. A lot of people leave immediately, right? I have gotten to that part, okay? So big trigger warning about that is in here, and it's not faded to black, okay? Like it is in here. So if that's something that you want to avoid seeing on any level, I would probably not read this book at all, okay? Because it's not pleasant. It's not hinted at. Like, it is bad. What I have heard from people who have read the story is that it's there for a reason, and that the characters' reactions to it are handled well and with care, and it is all purposeful. So we shall see. We shall see. So I just want to be honest about that, right? I don't want anyone to pick this up and be blindsided by that. That is in here. We'll see how well it's handled as we go. I have heard universally that it's handled, almost universally, that it's handled exceptionally well, but we'll see. But Lord Falsbane, love this. This has been so much fun. I can't wait to read more of this. That's the plan for this week. Read a bunch more of that. Keep chipping away at Claw the Conciliator. Do some more of those Words of Light and Shadow short stories. Hopefully do a little bit more Defiant. We'll see. But that's the plan. Lord Falsbane is probably the main thing that I'm the most excited about. Like, I'm having a hard time putting it down. It's really, I'm really wrapped up in it. It's awesome. So, okay. Other than that, I kind of gone through everything. It's kind of been a crazy week in that sense. Couple live stream stuff you can see back on. What day was that? I can't remember what day of the week it was, but on Alex's channel, Iskandaria, you can see the replay of our discussion on A Fool's Hope. That was book 2 of the Last War trilogy. That one wasn't a super long discussion, to be honest, because we all had pretty similar stories. I fear I came off overly negative and critical in that one, but I don't know. You be the judge, I guess. So go watch that. It's on Alex's channel. And then the Thursday we did on my channel that, oh man, that was awesome. The live stream discussion with Don Mates and Jeff Brown, two just amazing artists in the fantasy space. Don being an absolute legend. He's been around for decades and decades. And like some of your favorite fantasy art, some of your favorite book covers, like it's a really good chance that he did it, right? He's just incredibly prolific and has done so much amazing work. And then Jeff, much newer to the game, and different medium. He does it all digitally, whereas Don does everything traditionally. And and Jeff Brown is doing a lot of great work with the Broken Binding, and so he's really rising quickly. And it was so interesting to talk to the both of them and see how they got into the industry, what their process is like, how they go about creating these book covers, and how they create their art in general, and the differences between the two. I mean, decades of time difference in how they came into the industry, different mediums, different, so it was so interesting. So I would love for people to go and watch that. I've gotten some great feedback from it. I think people are really enjoying it. I know it's not like book specific content, but it was an awesome discussion, man. So please go check that out. That's on my channel. A couple things coming up. I got a couple notes here. I want to not forget anything. So I mentioned my stressful travel weirdness coming up here, right? With that said, I think I gotta miss our BookTube D&D that we had scheduled for Thursday the 12th, which breaks my heart. I was really, really excited for that. I think, it's such a bummer. It will happen again. We will get it back on the books. I think the other guys are still planning on doing a D&D stream, right? It won't be on my channel and I won't be playing, but I think they're still planning on doing it that day. So I don't know, you'll have to watch their channels. Maybe they'll announce something, but so it might still happen. If not, we'll get everything together. Once I get back from my trip and stuff, we'll get something rescheduled. That'll be great. So that bums me out, but hopefully it still happens so that you guys can still watch something and that they can still play and have fun with it. And I'll be able to get back in there with them afterwards. We'll have on Monday the 16th, we have a spoiler live stream scheduled for the book Discovery by J.A.J. Minton, The Talking Story Family, John, Amy, Jacob. We have, this is myself, this is Alex from Iskandaria, Chris the Bearded Book Beast, Chance Dillon, and Preacher Reads. All of us are getting together with the authors to have a big spoiler-filled discussion on the book. It will have been out for almost exactly a month at that point. So hopefully enough people have gotten a chance to read it. If you haven't, please go read it. It's awesome. And I can't wait to talk about spoilers. I know they got into some spoilery stuff with a video that they've done here and there. They did one on Philip's channel. They've talked about this book quite a bit, but I'm excited to just go full in on spoilers. I think that'll be great and really fun to just kind of let loose in that sense. So that will be great. I can't promise my production quality will be amazing. It might be a little rough because I'll be in a different state without my, all my normal equipment. I'm going to try to bring this mic is easy to bring with me and stuff. So I'll do my best. It should still be solid, but it might not be absolutely perfect, but we'll see. And what else we got? We got our Will of the Many group discussion scheduled. That's myself, John that I just mentioned, Philip Chase, Chance, and Jimmy Nuts from the Fantasy Network. So I can't wait to talk about Will of the Many with those guys. That's going to be awesome. And we have that scheduled for later this month. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get closer. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, top of my head, I think it's the 24th maybe. But I'll double check what I wrote on my calendar, and I'll announce that more firmly as we get even closer. We got the Warhost of Vastmark big group buddy read discussion coming up. That'll be on Brian's channel towards the end of the month. Stoked for that. I got some other really cool collab videos in the works that I'm excited for. So there's a lot of great stuff happening here on BookTube, despite the stress of all this travel. There's a lot of great stuff happening, so I'm grateful nonetheless. So thanks for watching. This has been my crazy week. What's your week been like? Hopefully less crazy than mine, but let me know in the comments. Talk to me down there. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you for everything, as always, to this amazing community. I love you all. I'll see you next time.